Hello students, welcome back to our online discussion. Once again, this is your instructor Jason Cano. So in this online discussion, we will discuss about the overview of research in hospitality. So at the end of this lesson, you should be able to first understand the difference between HM and other program curriculum. In our college, we have computer science and office administrations. So we will differentiate the curriculum of the HM and the other programs offered in our college. Second one, recognize the difference between thesis and the research paper. The third one, you will distinguish the process of thesis 1 to thesis 2. And then lastly, make a distinction of the sequence of the sections of a thesis and its strategies. So we'll discuss about the sequence of the different sections of thesis, and we will also discuss about the strategy. First, we have here a curriculum or checklist or a prospectus of computer science course or program. As you have noticed, in the second semester of their third year, they will have a methods of research. Before, they will have a thesis writing 1 and thesis writing 2. So they have a preparatory subject. And for the office administration, they also have internet research for business. Before, they will undergo research 1, methods of research, and research 2, thesis writing. But for the curriculum of the program HM, hospitality management, we don't have a preparatory subject. So we will jump into research in hospitality and thesis writing. But I do believe some of you or majority of you already undergone a thesis writing during your senior high school. So now let's proceed to the difference between research and thesis. So for the version for the thesis, it is a long version, okay, and the research is only a short version. And also for the research format, there is no chapters. But with the thesis, we have chapters. We have chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. And for the research, there is only a few pages. So when you visit in a Google Scholar, you have seen a lot of study there that is called research. There's only a few pages. But for the thesis, there are many pages, for example 200 to 400 pages. And the proponent, majority or usually the proponent or researchers for a research type of study are the faculty members. So we also in the HM department or any instructors in a university, we always conducted a research because it is very useful for our for example in AACO or RQUAT evaluation, and also in VC and yearly requirements as an instructor. But for the thesis, the proponent were the students. The students were required to make a thesis in order to pass the said program or course. Okay? And for the research format, the purpose for this is for publication. Okay? For example, in DOAG, the research or the study is published on that particular website, and also in ResearchGate and in Google Scholar. And for the thesis, it is not required to publish the thesis, but it is a program requirement. You cannot pass or graduate in a certain program if you will not pass the thesis. So it is a program requirement. Okay, so let's proceed to research. This is the example of a research format. You can search this one in the Google Scholar. So this is a research type. The version is short. I think it is only 11 to 13 pages. 11 to 13 pages. And there is no chapters. And the pages is few, just what I've said. I think it's only 11 to 13 pages. And the proponent are faculty members. For example, yours truly, Jason Cano, is a faculty member of BISU. And my co-researchers, Dr. Bahaw and Dr. Itkuban, is from University of Cebu. So we conducted this research for the purpose of publication and for the accreditation. Right, so let's proceed to a thesis format. So this is the example of a thesis format. It is long. It has chapters 1 to 3, and there are many pages. I think it's 200 to 300 pages, and the proponent is a student. So the student will conduct a thesis as a requirement for the certain program. So the students will not able to graduate in a certain program if he or she cannot pass the thesis writing. So this is the example for a thesis format. We have chapter 1 for the problem and its scope. It's also the introduction. And we also have chapter 2, presentation, analysis and interpretation of data. And last chapter, we have summary of findings, conclusions, and recommendations. So for the thesis format, there are 3 chapters. Okay, just a recap. Chapter 1 is for the problem and its scope, or the introduction. Chapter 2 is the presentation, analysis, and interpretation of data. And chapter 3 is a summary, findings, conclusions, and recommendations. So for thesis 1, you will only work out the chapter 1, which is the problem and the scope of your study. So for your thesis 2, in the next semester, you will distribute the questionnaire, and you will present, analyze, and interpret the data that you have collected in the distribution of the questionnaire. And then you will come up with the chapter 3, which is the summary, findings, and conclusions, and recommendations. And you have this is example of the last pages, or last page. This is 234 pages. So again, the thesis format, it is very long. We have chapters 1 to 3. There are many pages, just like in this example, 234 pages. The proponent is the students in order to graduate, because this is a program requirement. Okay, for the summary, the thesis 1, which is the proposal hearing, you will undergo this in this term or this semester. And then next sem, you will undergo thesis 2, or thesis writing 2. You will undergo oral defense. So for this semester, you will just propose your study, and then if it is approved by the panel members, you can proceed in distributing the questionnaire, and then you will finish your study and you will defend your study next semester. Okay, so for this semester, you will have a thesis 1, or you will undergo proposal hearing before the end of this semester. So there is only one chapter that you are going to focus. For the oral defense or thesis 2 next semester, you will present chapter 1, 2, and 3. But for this term, you will only focus on chapter 1. Now, as a recap or suggestions, the panel members will focus more on the title, the statement of the problem or SOP, and the questionnaire. Okay, there's a lot of parts or sections in chapter 1, but I will give you an advice to focus more on the title, the statement of the problem, and the questionnaire. This is the backbone of the thesis writing. Okay, and for the thesis 2, the focus of the panel members for their questions clarifications is on the results and discussion found in chapter 2. But for now, in this semester, we will focus in the title, statement of the problem, and questionnaire. Okay, so we will discuss about the sequence of sections. So in the left side, this is the actual sequence, the actual pattern, and in the right side, this is the sequence based on the strategy. Okay, so in the actual sequence, you have the title page or the title of your study, then you will create a rationale, and then you will create a theoretical background or literature background, and then fourth, statement of the problem, fifth, statement of hypothesis, this is your assumption of your study, sixth, significance of the study, who will be benefited of your study, seven, research methodology, what kind of methods that you are going to use, how will you select your respondents, where are you going to conduct your study, and etc. 8, definition of terms. 9, you will create references. 10, transmit a letter. 11, questionnaire. 12, location map. And then 13, researchers biodata. So again, in the left side, this is the actual sequence of the thesis. But for a strategy, so that it will become easy for you to create your own thesis, again, just a recap. In chapter 1 or in the proposal hearing or in research in hospitality subject in this semester, we're going to focus in the title, in the statement of the problem or SOP, and the questionnaire. So titles, SOP, and questionnaire. Let's take a look in the actual sequence. The title is found in the first part. Statement of the problem is found in fourth part, and then questionnaire is found in the 11th part. Okay, so as you can see, there are different parts. Okay, the distance between the first or the title and the statement of the problem, there are 3, and then from statement of the problem to questionnaires are a lot of parts being passed. Okay, so for the strategy, you will create or make a title, and then statement of the problem, and then the questionnaire. These 3 areas must be coincide with each other. If you fail to connect this SOP and the questionnaire, there will be a possible problems. So if your title, statement of the problem, and questionnaire is really harmonious with each other, there is no possible problem occur in creating your thesis writing. Okay, so it is very easy for you to create your theoretical or literature background. It is easy for you to create a statement of hypothesis, significance of the study, research methodology, if these 3 things is very clear. Okay, so you must focus on the title, SOP, and the questionnaire. So this is the example of a questionnaire. Okay, this is the example of a questionnaire. Housekeeping standard practices in selected resorts in Anda, Bohol. That is why we are going to undergo a title hearing, probably at the last week of April. So we have a title hearing. And then, this is the example of a statement of the problem. This part is the main problem. And then the bottom part, this is a sub-problems. Okay, so we will just read the main problem of this study. Again, the title is Housekeeping Standard Practices of Selected Resorts in Anda, Bohol. So the main problem, this study will assess the satisfaction of the guests on housekeeping standard practices of the room attendants in selected resorts in Anda, Bohol, calendar year 2017. The findings of this study will serve as a basis in formulating a proposed action plan. So this is the main problem. And the sub-problems are the following. What is the profile of the respondents in terms of this one? What is the level of satisfaction of the guests pertaining to the housekeeping standard practices of the resorts in terms of? And then what are the problems encountered by the guests in relation to housekeeping standard practices? Number 4, is there any significant relationship between the respondent's profile and our respondents' perception on the problems they encountered in relation to housekeeping standard practices of the resorts? And based on the findings, what action plan may be proposed to improve the housekeeping services rendered by resort attendants? So as you can see, this is the statement of the problem. And the third part, which is also important as what I have discussed earlier, is the questionnaire. So your SOP in the questionnaire must be aligned. For example, your sub-problem number 1, again, this is the sub-problem number 1, profile of the respondents. So in your questionnaire, this is the part 1 because this is your sub-problem number 1. Next, sub-problem number 2, what is the level of satisfaction of the guests pertaining to housekeeping standard practices of resorts? So part 2 must be discussed about the level of satisfaction. So let's check part 2. This is about the level of satisfaction. So the respondents will rate based on their experience in the housekeeping services. For example, if they are satisfied, they will answer in number 4, which is very satisfied. So in sub-problem number 2, it will measure the level of satisfaction of the guest. And then sub-problem number 3, what are the problems encountered by the guest? So part 3 must be discussed about the problems encountered. So part 1 is about the respondent's profile, part 2 is about the level of satisfaction, and part 3 must discuss about the common problems encountered. So as we can see here, part 3 discuss about the common problems encountered. So this is the example that I mentioned earlier, that your SOP and your questionnaire must be aligned together with the title. These 3 things is very important: title, statement of the problem, and then the questionnaire. If you have no problem with regards to these 3 parts, it will be uneasy for you to finish your study. Other parts will be uneasy if these 3 things is clear and these 3 things is aligned with each other. Okay, so this is the end of our discussion for now, and please answer the evaluation quiz, and don't forget to review the discussion in order for you to have an easy doing your thesis writing. See you in the next video.